First of all, I mean, how did you pull everybody together? I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, I thought that, particularly now when you're looking at post-election
Yeah.
with Trump and Biden, and, honestly, whether you love Trump or hate him, you've got to at least recognize that he is constantly stirring
Yeah.
and has not necessarily brought a cohesive environment to the country.
Right.
And not that Biden is all that either.
Yeah. Or automatically going to do it.
Or automatically going to do it.
Right.
But, just I think what we were trying to do in this process was bring together thought leaders.
That's right.
Leaders in the community that, many supported you, many supported Bronson.
That's right. Many supported you.
Many supported me.
Yeah.
But try to get folks together and say, okay, what do we really need as a community? Because after all, at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do.
That's right.
And you did a great job in pulling them together. I have no idea. I haven't asked you how hard that was or easy. I hope it was easy.
Yeah. Well, it was easier than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Because I guess a microcosm of what we saw play out at the national level. There was many levels of division during the mayoral race, and I'm sure if anybody could say so, it's you and there's me, you know, and then the other two candidates. But it was divisive in many ways, and so it was tough coming right on the heels of that, and then we're trying to, bring people together. Right. I mean, for all of what the election was, especially with the runoff and that sort of deepened it and forced people to pick a side.
Right.
I'm probably one of the few people who like nope. I mean, I voted, but it's like I'm staying away from that.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, like last week I'm trying to hurt you, and this week I'm like, man, we gotta love each other.
Yeah.
Can we sing Kumbaya? It's not a natural event at all.
It's not. And then
particularly considering you've been campaigning really for about 2 years at that point.
That's right. Yeah.
It's not just I decided.
It doesn't start when you file.
No.
Yeah, it starts way before. And but yeah, so looking at the group, I really just looked at what I knew, admittedly more anecdotal, what I knew the challenges and the issues and the needs of the community to be. But then I think, one of your strong points was as a candidate and now as a mayor is that you had the stats, you had the numbers. I mean, you could point to it. And there was a lot of overlap with what I knew to be true anecdotally and what you had statistically. And so that really, it showed that, okay, education, our schools, public safety, and then the workforce and economic development. But so much of that starts with the biggest champions of of this city are our teachers, our educators.
Amen.
And so I started looking there. Of course, I've been in the educational nonprofit space locally for about 6 years. And so I was fortunate enough, it did help that my Rolodex is full of teachers and principals and administrators of the sort. So, but yeah, just really getting the scope of who the biggest supporters of our city are.
Right.
I didn't want those who necessarily were, the loudest or the most vocal, well within their right. But I wanted people who could get past that divisiveness and move the issues of the city forward because they impact everybody.
Of course, that was early on when we started, but the issue still remains today. And the plan was originally to roll this out like in 100 days, but in that 100 days, we found COVID. As I like to tell people, I'm running a special on a Confederate monument right now. Anybody knows it, anybody wants one, give me a call. We've had several demonstrations and on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
But I think it's appropriate kind of now that we're here kind of at the year mark, really to look at what the transition team was indicating we should do.
That's right.
Maybe kind of even have a little conversation about where you think we are.
Yeah.
And then kind of where we need to go forward by each one of those buckets. You know, if you don't mind, if you got time for that.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. And and I think the biggest thing is, before we go there, what I led with, what I made sure that I told everybody that I approached with the idea of contributing to the transition team was that, hey, this is a way to move our city forward. And this is a way, and I used your words, this is a way where, I said, Sandy, because you're Mayor Roberson, but I mean, everybody in the community. But I said, the mayor wants to be told what to do. That's what he signed up for. He wants to be told what to do. And so here's our chance. And you said it a million times. here's the chance that you need for us to tell you what to do, because that is the job you signed up for.
It is.
And once, I drove that message home, it really made it pretty easy to get people.
Well, on that point, I haven't given up on that, and I think that we should continue beating that drum, because I do feel like I have 57,000 bosses, and appropriately and rightly so.
Right.
So, the question is, what can we do to elevate our city, our community, and despite our challenges, and persevere, really provide everybody as much opportunity as we can.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's no more. That's what I signed up for. That's what I love. I love the city. I love
That's
the
right.
people of the city. But that never changes, right?
Right.
And so, but that's the whole point. It is our town. We should own it. We should talk about what we want done.
That's right.
And so elected officials serve us, not the other way around.
That's right.
So let's just kind of dive in. I mean, so you talk about schools. I mean, clearly, that came up. You can't, and I did my best. Man, I so didn't want to talk about education. Just in a little hindsight, especially running against you, right? Mr. Scholarship, man. And it's kind of a sticky wicket, right? There's no, it's not like you could just set one silver bullet all of a sudden changes everything. It's a process.
That's right.
It's a culture.
Right. That's right.
It's a culture embracing education. And I just didn't want to go there. And every time I looked at something, crime, well, what causes that? Well, in many cases, it's lack of education, and poverty, right? Which ties to lack of education. Jobs, what's creating this high unemployment rate? Well, I'm not educated at the appropriate level.
That's right.
Man, so I fought that. Finally, okay, fine, let's just deal with it. And then I was hoping and praying that, really when we got down into it,
right,
it was going to be a significant issue, but I was hoping it would be smaller than what it was.
Right.
But anyway, it's undeniable.
It is.
You're more of a subject matter expert than I am, and you pulled together a great group, and we had a lot of dialogue. And so just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I think the word that you gave was culture.
Right.
And that it really is a huge part of it. There's so many moving pieces when it comes to that educational piece.
Right.
And, there's, of course, the data-driven approach and the technical approach, which a lot of your PhDs and a lot of your, and honestly, a lot of, as a culture, we've grown to value that quantification a lot more. And there are many, many times in many instances where I'll take the quantitative approach over qualitative. But when you're dealing with such a wide span of children, and they have different challenges, different things outside of that 7.5, 8 hour block, of traditional school time, then you gotta lean more into qualitative. Not one trumps the other, but you gotta know when to use it.
Right.
And I think that is where that culture piece comes in.
Sure.
And that was something that we looked at, as far as just working with the students, but also creating. One thing that came out of the schools part of transition team was, the parental involvement. How can we spur parental involvement? How can we be more accommodating to parents, whether it be electronically, because a lot of the school systems across the country are still rigid in nature. It's like, hey, school, be here at 7:30, you leave at 3:30. If you don't catch the teacher by 4 o'clock or whatever, then, and if you can't make it up during the school day, and it's just a lot. And so I think a holistic approach to education and what can be done with that at and through the city level, because that's one thing I always, you get too many smart people in the room, things can unravel and go a million different ways. And so that's one thing I had to stay focused on is, and keep everybody focused is, okay, what can we do? What can we, even if it's one step, what can we do to take that one step and get us there? And one of the things, I think that we landed on was context. Context was something that came about a lot. It was a word that was used. One thing as far as workforce development, because a lot of children are some of the most innately intelligent creatures on the planet.
Sure.
before the world, before adults, before we mess them up, before we mess them up.
A lot of truth to that.
They see the world for what it is, and what I'm getting at is, you can't lie to a child to say there's plenty of opportunity in Rocky Mount. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and if you go further back, depending on, so they grow up wanting to leave. They grow up not seeing the economic opportunity and seeing a workforce or seeing where they fit into the world.
I'll just stop you a little bit. I mean, that's why we're here as a country.
That's right.
I mean, with the exception of some populations, most people here weren't from anything, just looking for opportunity.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Without that, and another thing, I think I know where you're going, but before I forget the thought, you asked a question in that group. What would you do if I gave you $1 million?
That's right.
And the most powerful answer I thought came out of that in that discussion group. I can't remember who said it, but it wasn't like I was give awards to teachers. I would, pay whatever. It was I would do anything I do to stabilize the environment of some of the children that I have that don't have just that, call it basic platform to be able to learn from.
That's right. That's right.
And, I went from because I knew that already, right? To almost shocked, dismayed. There's a little depression component to that, right? And then there's wow, okay, well, that's really where we need to be focused. That's the truth. That's the light. And so anyway, I don't mean to stop you, but it just ties to everything you've been saying, and gosh, I don't want to forget it.
Yeah, and I mean, that really the holistic approach, because I think, and I'm not an expert, I know there are people who will watch this conversation and who are way smarter than me and well more versed, but at a real basic level, there's something to be said for the pressure shift from, just raising good children to raising good students.
Right.
And to that test score, that focus, the shift to the test score, and how well are you performing, and that determines how much, resources you get, and so forth and so on. And so I think in that, to your point, we lost a lot of, well, gosh, what is, little Bradley doing when he gets out of school? What's his life like? What challenges? You have a lot of kids in this city who, they are no older than 6th or 7th grade. And I know you know this, and they have to feed their younger siblings at night.
Right.
And not because mom is not involved, not because she's at work.
Right. So she doesn't love them. She's doing everything she can do to make it all happen. That's right.
And that's not to suggest dad's not in the home.
That's
Dad's
right.
at work too.
Right.
He's driving trucks, or and so there are plenty of situations to where these children are living a life that is, quite frankly, just not what most of their peers are living.
Right.
I would argue that not any middle schooler should have to live. And so you have to overcome all of that.
Right.
And then come in, worry about whether or not you got pencils.
That's right.
And so I think.
And now you expect me to make a 93.
And they expect me to make a 93. And then I get sent to the principal's office because I didn't ask to use the bathroom on the way back from lunch.
Right.
When I have to ask to use the bathroom here,
Right.
but I have to help pay the bills in some ways at home.
And not to say that the rules aren't important.
That's right. That's right.
Discipline matters.
That's right.
All those things matter. But
That's
but it is step back and look. So what is
That's right.
what you see is not necessarily what it is.
That's right. And then and the biggest thing is that it was a breath of fresh air to know, as a parent of a child in Nash Rocky Mountain Schools. I know that educators to the highest caliber exist right here in our school system, but to have so many of them in one room, and not talk about my child per se, but talking about the system, to know that educators from principal on down, that they actually are focusing on that. They actually take that into consideration.
Right.
I've had Dr. Alston say that he was Williford's principal, but he would say, and Mr. Tilley, I've been to volunteer at Baskerville at times, and I end up, sitting with the child and just giving him a pep talk so that he doesn't get suspended. Mr. Tillery says, hey, you can go talk to Mr. Jones for 10 minutes. I'm calling your mama.
Wow.
And I mean, sign me up to talk to Mr. Jones, as preachy as he may be.
No, I'm with you. I mean, and so that was really, it wasn't really eye opening, so to speak, but it does kind of frame the conversation of, is it the school system that's broken because our kids aren't scoring well, or is it because not every kid is coming from the same environment that we're expecting them to in order to be able to? The school system was designed to reach.
That's right. That's right.
So, and you're talking about kids who are looking for jobs, so they leave. Well, those are kids who have the opportunity to finish high school, join the military, go to college or whatever, looking for a job.
Right.
But if I can't even get to that level of hope before I'm 18, I don't graduate. So now I've got a whole nother challenge. You know, now it really is difficult for me to get a job, and God forbid I should have a child in this process.
Oh, goodness.
Because now I've got to support that child at whatever level I can.
That's right.
And so and children are blessings, and I love
them. Oh
them.
no, but they're expensive.
Well, mine have proven to be, and I'm sure I was no exception. Although I think I was a bargain.
Yeah, well, expensive is relative, but they are not free.
That's right.
They are not free. They come at many costs, financial and otherwise.
That's exactly right. And the responsibility, and you know, and that weighs on you if you take it halfway seriously. And I think everybody does.
That's right. That's right.
So anyway, that really, I think, is what framed the conversation, which I think is important for folks to hear too. Because to your point, we're still producing Morehead Scholars.
Yeah,
we're still producing Jefferson Scholars. We're still producing National Merit Scholars. We're still producing some really talented kids coming out of our system because our teachers are teaching what they're supposed to.
Yeah.
But if I'm not in a place where I can even receive the information, then I'm struggling.
That's right. And then, and so to know that there were so many people on this transition team who knew that, and not just at a theoretical level. I mean, these educators, these principals. I mean, and we really saw it, you know, a sort of a spinoff, if you will, or a pivot from this process was, you know, it's something that wasn't really put out there. But it was the COVID team that we sort of put together, and that was at your call, you know, to say, hey, look, let's get these same people together, because we saw how well they knew their student body.
Absolutely.
And so, what are the needs of the children? And so, to your credit, I mean, that group was formed, and we had principals who were delivering meals.
I really think that was more of a collaborative effort, honestly. But it was great to get, because I think we made a difference in that.
I think we did. Yeah, I really think that a difference was made. But when you have principals who are spending time away from their families to get on school buses and deliver lunches, I mean, that in and of itself is just magical.
Well, it was good to see a community form a community, right? So we hear all the, you know, blah, 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 you know, the discourse in the marketplace, but to see a community really say, okay, well, we got needs, let me just tone that out, let me take care of that kid today. And if that's all I can do, then I've done something.
That's right. Yeah. So to see the level of compassion and care and knowledge that was held and is held still by so many educators, it was refreshing.
Right. No, awesome. Yeah. And then I think what we saw is that really came out in kind of some of the recommendations will really kind of help foster and move forward on some of those items. You know, kind of help the continuance of that.
That's right. And one of the things, you know, that came from it, so the educators on the transition team, of course, they don't just represent students, especially the administrators, right? I mean, they represent their teachers, their staff, their custodians.
Their district.
They represent everybody. And so one thing that, you know, I think is just geographically, just by chance, but, you know, the fact that Nash and Edgecombe counties, Twin counties are bordered to Wake County.
Sure.
And it's a relatively short drive to Pitt County or to, you know, Virginia in some instances. And so morale among teachers was one of the things that came out of that. You know, what can the city do to just make teachers feel appreciated? Because I think running a close second to the $1 million question that you mentioned was, you know, they would take a big portion of that and just give to their educators, to the teachers in some way, to their staff members, whether it be a small retreat on the third grade hallway, you know, at the end of the day or something, just to make their staff feel appreciated.
Well, I know the staff, I mean, I know lots of teachers personally, A lot of them, I mean, they're not only giving their time, they're giving part of their paycheck.
That's right. That's right.
To really teach our kids. And that's something we're not really talking about.
That's right.
And quite frankly, I've looked at it and I still don't understand how public schools are funded. It's by position. It's not a traditional budget model as I'm accustomed to.
Right.
So I'm a little bit perplexed by it. But so to have to manage within that context it's got to make it difficult, even for the teacher.
That's right.
That day.
That's right. That's right. But one thing that we've always known, and you just alluded to it, that teachers do so much with relatively nothing. I mean,
Oh man,
if you give any other profession as little to work with as you do teachers across our city, state, and the country, I think many more people would be dead.
no doubt.
Our cars would be falling apart. Everything would be just awry. And so when it really spoke to the spirit of an educator, when you had so many educators say, you know what, we would just love to get coupons at, the meals, or we would love to just have a teacher appreciation where, you just get some sort of discount, or we would love to have, for one, 50% off car wash a month. When you heard those conversations, it's like, wow, I mean, that's the spirit of an educator, a little bit, just give me a little bit.
Just show me you love me a little bit. Give me some hope, right? And that's well, we should be doing that, and we should be doing more than that.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I got to be careful what I say.
Yeah.
But we should be. That's a de minimis effort that we should put forward.
That's
and we do thank our service members. We do thank many people who are heroes in healthcare, but our teachers are those heroes just as much, if not more so. In fact, you and I and others wouldn't have the opportunities to be who we are without great teachers.
No. Teachers really, and people say it, especially in this, political space, if you will. I mean, people say it, but they give teachers a lot of lip service. But I mean, good teachers, everybody has that one teacher or two teachers or 10 along their 13-year trajectory of traditional public schools where, life would have been a little different, and that if we could just find a way to arm teachers, which I think is what made our campaign, your eventual success in the campaign, it made it tough because you don't as mayor have any budget authority.
No.
So you can't say, hey, we're gonna, or let's do, it's like, and so you really have
I'll allocate whatever over there. There's nothing to allocate.
Right.
I'll give you some time.
And so it makes it tough, and we really have to just make sure that we're growing those elementary students when they're a bit more vulnerable.
Yeah.
And then into the middle school years where they stay on or fall off the track, so to speak.
Right.
And then really raise them up to where they are the successful young professionals that we know that they can be. And that is what got to our workforce piece. How can we infuse our local workforce with teens, and give them what they need to take it to the next level? Because and trades came. Trades was always in that conversation. Mm-hmm. That traditional, 90s model of go to college, go to college. Do 4 years, party Thursday through Sunday, freshman, all of that. Trades. You look at our city, and there are so many. And why do kids go to college? It's to earn it's to earn a living. Why do parents want them to go to college to get out of their house and never come back?
Right, kind of. We'll come back when they want them to, right. Without asking for money in the process.
That's right. And so to change that culture, that culture has to be. I think there's something to be said for it, and the culture of tradesmen and women, not necessarily that traditional college path. We need more focus given to that.
All right, I can't cite the study or whatever, and I'll need to go back and look it up. But I have heard, and I'll just say it anecdotally, because everybody's got fact finding out there.
Yeah, that's right.
That there are more millionaires in the trades than there are in any other single profession or group.
That's right.
And I know it's true. I mean, look, I can get paid $75 an hour to be a welder.
Yeah.
I can get paid, as I understand it, some of the starting wages for being a linesman in the $60,000 to $80,000 plus.
Yep.
And try to find a plumber right now.
Yeah.
I mean, just for your house, I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are real jobs, real opportunities, and that's the thing I think is kind of missing in some of our conversations. You know, Norris and Oppie at the Gateways Partnership are doing a great job recruiting jobs.
That's right.
And everybody thinks in terms of how do I fill those jobs, how do I get people ready for it, and that's important. But they need plumbers, they need electricians,
That's right.
they need painters, they need back to the trades, and you can work for yourself, and you have a level of independence in there, and it's a great thing.
And it's rewarding, and I think at our base level, all humans, you know, are enterprising.
That's what the STEP program's all about.
That's right.
Give a shout out to that. And you know, the other thing I think is that folks just learn differently. They just do. I mean, we're all built differently, despite the fact we try to squeeze everything into one mold. It just isn't so.
That's right.
So anyway, the point is you can find an opportunity anywhere.
That's right.
And just college is not the only answer. It is for some. For many people, it's kind of a waste of time.
Yeah.
You get a chance to get some college debt. You got to work your way out of it for the rest of your life, and you really haven't gotten an appreciably better job.
That's right. And one thing that came from the transition team's discussions is, you know, because again, I would always ask the question, what can the city do?
Right.
What do you want to tell Mayor Roberson that needs to be done, that he needs to fight for inside of City Hall? And one of those things was, okay, the city should do more. What can the city do more to spur that, you know, that interest in those careers? I mean, because somebody said, well, the city has a linesman program. Now, granted, no 16-year-old should be getting up there, you know, changing any transform.
Well, no, I'm more likely to have done it at 16 than I am now, I can promise you.
But, you know, I think one thing is to have, you know, just to explore the option of having a city indoor summer program.
Right.
And now it doesn't even really have to be summer, because that traditional school schedule, I think, is out the window for the next, you know.
We've got to come up with something.
Yeah.
And you're right, tradition's not working.
And now, especially, I mean, it makes more sense for that 20-something, younger 20-something to stay in Rocky Mount, because they don't have to go to Raleigh to you know. And so I really think there's opportunity there at the city level, at the municipal level, to create something, even if you start with 10 or 15, you know, just to prove that it works.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's what I thought was funny. You know, we're talking about having no money, no budget.
Right.
At best, a bully pulpit. At best.
That's right. That's right.
If anybody's tuning in that day. But when you started looking at many of the recommendations that I think you probably end up going over, it really came down to everything you were talking about. Acknowledge me.
That's right.
You know, celebrate me. Celebrate the process.
That's right.
Integrate into the community. Bring the community awareness to what we're doing.
That's right.
Hi, this is Mayor Sandy Roberson. I'd like to take a moment to thank the sponsors of the Mayor's Brief. Therrington's Auto Works and Collision Center, Rocky Mount Radiator, and Davenport Auto Park. You know, I am grateful to each of them for their support of this program.